I should have known something was wrong when Mom insisted on hosting my birthday dinner at the country club instead of letting me choose the restaurant. But there I was, watching her fuss over the table settings, while my sister Reagan preened in front of her compact mirror, checking her makeup for the 100th time. My name is Maeve, and I turned 22 today. Though you wouldn't know it from the way everyone was orbiting around Reagan and her massive engagement ring, courtesy of Carson King, golden boy of the social scene. "Maeve, darling, do fix your hair," Mom hissed, yanking me aside. "The Grants will be here any minute, and you look like you just rolled out of bed." I touched my carefully styled waves self-consciously. "My hair is fine, Mom." "Reagan, sweetheart, help your sister look presentable," Mom called out. "Show her how to use some of that expensive makeup I bought you." Reagan barely glanced up from her phone. "Can't. Carson's texting me about tonight's seating arrangement." The first guests started trickling in. Dad's business associates, Mom's country club friends, Reagan's social circle. I stood awkwardly by the bar, nursing a glass of water, while Reagan held court at the centre table, showing off her ring to anyone who'd look. "Kill me now," I muttered under my breath. "Not before I get my gift back," came a familiar voice behind me. I turned to find Eleanor, Carson's younger sister and my best friend, grinning at me. "Happy birthday, by the way." I hugged her tight. "Thank God you're here. I was about to fake food poisoning." "Don't you dare," Elena whispered. "I suffered through 3 hours of traffic to get here." She glanced around the room. "Why does your mum look like she's about to have an aneurysm?" I followed her gaze to where Mum was practically hyperventilating as she spoke to Scarlett Grant, Carson's mother. Probably because Mrs. Grant is wearing a better designer dress than she is. "Maeve!" Mom's sharp voice cut through our conversation. "Come here, please. Mrs. Grant was just asking about your plans after graduation." I forced a smile and walked over, Eleanor trailing behind me. Mrs. Grant looked me up and down with the same analytical stare she probably used to assess potential business acquisitions. "Still pursuing that writing degree?" she asked, her tone making it clear what she thought of that choice. Before I could answer, Reagan jumped in. "Oh, Maeve's always been the creative one. Not very practical, but you know how it is." She laughed, that practiced tinkling sound that made me want to dump my drink over her head. "At least one of you has a head for business," Mrs. Grant replied, patting Reagan's arm approvingly. Mom beamed. "Reagan's always known exactly what she wanted. Speaking of which, where is Carson? He's not usually late." "Traffic," Elena supplied. "He texted me too." The dinner dragged on, course after course of overpriced food I was too nervous to eat. I kept catching Mom shooting me warning glances every time I opened my mouth, as if afraid I might say something to embarrass her in front of the Grants. Finally, Carson arrived, looking perfectly put together despite the delayed flight he'd been on. Reagan practically launched herself at him, and the room erupted in appreciative coos at their picture-perfect reunion. "Now that everyone's here," Mom announced, standing up and tapping her glass with a spoon, "I have a special surprise for Maeve's birthday." My stomach dropped. Mom's surprises were never good news for me. "I found something fascinating while cleaning Maeve's room yesterday," she continued, pulling out a familiar leather-bound book with a flourish. My heart stopped. "Mum, no," I whispered, but she ignored me. What better way to celebrate than by sharing some of Maeve's lovely writing? She's always been so expressive in her diary. The room went quiet. I felt Elena's hand grip my arm under the table. Reagan's eyes gleamed with malicious delight. "Mom, please don't," I said louder, my voice shaking. "That's private." "Don't be silly, darling. Family doesn't keep secrets." She opened the diary to a marked page. "Now, let's see. Ah, here's a good one from last summer. I wanted to disappear, to run, to die." But I sat frozen in my chair as my mother cleared her throat, ready to read my most private thoughts to a room full of strangers and social climbers. Elena's grip tightened on my arm. From the corner of my eye, I saw her slip her phone out of her purse, but I was too focused on the horror unfolding before me to think about what she was doing. My mother's voice rang out clear and theatrical, and my world began to crumble, one word at a time. "Dear Diary," Mom read, her voice dripping with mock sweetness. "Today I saw Brady at the coffee shop again. He smiled at me, and I nearly spilled my latte all over myself like the complete idiot I am." Scattered laughter rippled through the room. I stared at my plate, willing myself not to cry, as Brady, who was sitting 3 tables away, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Oh, but it gets better," Mom continued, flipping a page. "I know Reagan says he's not good enough for our family, but I can't help how I feel. Sometimes I think he's the only person who actually sees me." Reagan snorted. "God, how pathetic can you get?" I caught Carson frowning slightly at Reagan's comment, but he said nothing. Elena had disappeared from her seat beside me, but I barely registered her absence through my mounting panic. "Now, this entry is particularly interesting," Mom said, her eyes glittering. "August 15th. I finally told Brady how I felt today. He laughed in my face and said he'd never date Reagan's little sister. Then Reagan told me she'd already warned him about my desperate crush. I've never felt so humiliated." More laughter. Someone whispered, "Poor thing." I couldn't tell if they meant it mockingly or sympathetically. It didn't matter. "But wait!" Mom paused dramatically. "There's more about Reagan here. Should I continue?" "Mom," I managed to croak out, "please stop." "Nonsense, darling. This is entertainment. September 3rd. I overheard Reagan talking to Mom about Carson today. The way they planned everything makes me sick. I can't believe they would—" "Susan," Dad's voice cut through the room. It was the first time he'd spoken all evening. "That's enough." But Mom was on a roll, drunk on the attention and the approving smiles from Mrs. Grant. "Oh, Howard, don't be such a spoil sport." October 12th. "Sometimes I wish I could just disappear. Maybe then Mom would—" My phone buzzed. A text from Eleanor. "Don't react. I'm recording everything from the next room. Trust me." "And here's the best part," Mom announced, flipping to a marked page. "The night of the accident. Should we share that one, Maeve? About how you really felt when Reagan got that modelling contract instead of you." Reagan leaned forward eagerly. "Oh yes, Mother, please read that one." I stood up so abruptly my chair crashed backward. "You had no right," I said, my voice trembling. "Those were my private thoughts." "Private?" Mom laughed. "In this family, besides, everyone here is practically family now, aren't they? Especially with the wedding coming up." Carson was watching the scene with an increasingly troubled expression. Mrs. Grant's smile had become rather fixed. "You want to know what I really think," I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice had become. "Fine, I think—" "Maeve's just being dramatic," Reagan interrupted smoothly. "She's always been jealous of my relationship with Carson. It's sort of sweet, really, in a pathetic way." "I think we should move on to dessert," Mrs. Grant suggested firmly. "But I haven't finished reading about the night Reagan—" Mom started. My phone buzzed again. Eleanor. "Got it all, including Reagan's little commentary. Check your email in 5. "Actually," I said, finding strength from somewhere deep inside, "why don't you tell everyone about the night you found Reagan's letters? The ones she—" "Maeve!" Reagan's voice was sharp with warning. "Or better yet," I continued, "why don't we talk about how you really met Carson, Reagan? The real story." The colour drained from Reagan's face. Carson looked between us, confusion evident in his expression. "That's quite enough," Mom snapped, finally closing my diary. "I think Maeve's had too much wine. Reagan, darling, why don't you tell everyone about the wedding plans?" As Reagan launched into a detailed description of flower arrangements, I slipped away from the table. In the hallway, Elena was waiting with her phone in hand. "I got everything," she whispered. "Every word, every laugh, every nasty comment. And I've got screenshots of other things too. Things my brother really needs to see." "Elena, I can't—" "Yes, you can," she insisted. "They've been manipulating everyone for years. Carson deserves to know what kind of family he's marrying into, and you deserve justice." My phone buzzed one final time, a message from Mum. "Come back to the table immediately. We're not finished celebrating your special day." I looked at Eleanor, then at my phone, then back at Eleanor. Something shifted inside me, years of hurt and humiliation crystallizing into determination. "You're right," I said quietly. "Send it." Elena's fingers flew over her phone screen. "Done. Now we wait." From the dining room, I could hear Reagan's voice rising and falling as she detailed her perfect wedding plans. She had no idea her carefully constructed world was about to implode. And for the first time that evening, I smiled. Elena pulled me into the empty library adjacent to the dining room, her phone still recording the muffled sounds of conversation through the wall. She stopped the recording and immediately started typing. "I'm adding a note to Carson," she said, fingers flying across the screen, explaining what he just witnessed and why he needs to listen to the whole thing. "What exactly are you telling him?" I asked, peering over her shoulder. "The truth. That his future mother-in-law just publicly humiliated her daughter by reading her private diary to score points with our mother. That his fiancé laughed along with it. And that there's more he needs to know." My stomach churned. "Show me what you've got." Elena pulled up screenshots of text conversations between Reagan and Mom from months ago. My eyes widened as I read them. "How did you get these?" Reagan left her phone unlocked at our house last week while she was swimming. I had a feeling something was off about how she and Carson got together, so I looked. Elena's face was grim. "Look at the date stamps." The texts detailed Reagan's plan to accidentally run into Carson at his father's memorial service. She'd intercepted a private invitation meant for our family and used it to orchestrate their first meeting. "She used his grief," I whispered. "She planned it all." "Keep reading." More screenshots showed Mom coaching Reagan on exactly what to say, how to act, even what to wear. They'd researched Carson's late father extensively, crafting the perfect sympathetic responses. "This is going to destroy him," I said. "He deserves to know." Elena's voice was firm. "My brother is many things, but he values honesty above everything. This will break his heart, but lying to him would be worse." A commotion from the dining room made us both jump. Reagan's voice carried through the wall. "Where's Maeve and Elena? Carson, have you seen your sister?" "We should go back," I said, but Elena grabbed my arm. "Wait, there's something else you need to see first." She pulled up a video on her phone. "Remember last Christmas at our house, when Reagan got drunk?" The video showed Reagan in the kitchen, slurring to one of her friends. "It was so easy," she was saying. "Just had to play the grieving friend card. Men are such suckers when they're vulnerable, especially rich ones." I felt sick. "Eleanor, The library door burst open. Reagan stood there. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her fury. "What are you two doing in here?" "Just giving Maeve her birthday present," Elena said smoothly, sliding her phone into her pocket. Reagan's eyes narrowed. "Carson's looking for you, Elena, and Mother wants you back at the table, Maeve. She has more diary entries to share." "No," I said quietly. "Excuse me. I said no." My voice grew stronger. "I'm done being your punching bag. Both of you." Reagan laughed, but there was an edge of nervousness to it. "Don't be dramatic. It's just a bit of fun." "Fun?" Elena stepped forward. "You call humiliating your sister on her birthday fun?" "Stay out of this," Reagan snapped. "This is family business." "You made it everyone's business when you decided to put on that little show out there," I said. "How do you think Carson would feel about the way you treated your sister?" Something flickered in Reagan's eyes. "Carson understands family dynamics. He knows I'm just looking out for you, trying to toughen you up." "Does he understand how you really met him?" Elena asked quietly. Reagan went very still. "What are you talking about?" "The memorial service," I said. "The invitation you stole, the research you did on his father, all those perfectly practiced sympathetic words." "You're lying," Reagan whispered. but her face had gone pale. "Check your phone," Elena suggested. "I just sent Carson everything, the texts, the video, all of it, including tonight's performance." Reagan lunged for her phone, fumbling with it in her panic. As she scrolled, her hands began to shake. "You can't," she breathed. "You'll ruin everything." "You did that yourself," I said. "Every time you chose cruelty over kindness. Every time you and Mom decided I was acceptable collateral damage in your social climbing games." A text notification pinged. Reagan's face crumpled as she read it. "Carson wants to talk," she said, her voice hollow. "Privately. Now." "You should go," Elena said. "He hates being kept waiting." Reagan turned to me, and for the first time in years I saw real fear in her eyes. "Maeve, please, tell him it's not what it looks like. Tell him what?" I asked. "The truth. Isn't that what you're afraid of?" She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "If you do this, I'll tell everyone about what really happened that night. The whole truth." I pulled free of her grip. "Go ahead. I'm done keeping secrets." Reagan fled the library, leaving the door open behind her. Through it, we could hear Mom's voice rising in concern, Carson's deeper tones asking questions. "Ready for phase 2?" Elena asked, pulling out her phone again. I took a deep breath. "What's phase 2?" "Now," she said, "we tell my mother everything." My phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. the next morning. Mom's name flashed across the screen for the 12th time in an hour. I declined the call and checked my messages instead. "Mom. Call me immediately. Mom. This is not funny anymore, Maeve. Mom. You're destroying your sister's happiness. Reagan. I hope you're happy. Carson won't answer my calls. Mom. Your father is very disappointed in you. Reagan. If you don't fix this, I swear I'll tell everyone what really happened that night." A knock at my apartment door made me jump. Through the peephole, I saw Reagan, still wearing last night's dress, makeup smeared under her eyes. "I know you're in there," she called out. "Open the door or I'll stand here screaming until your neighbours call the police." I opened the door but left the security chain on. "What do you want?" "What do I want?" she laughed hysterically. "I want my life back. Carson's mother just uninvited me from their annual charity gala. Do you have any idea what that means? That karma exists." She slammed her hand against the doorframe. "Let me in, now." Against my better judgment, I closed the door, removed the chain, and let her in. Reagan immediately started pacing my small living room. "Carson's not answering my calls," she said. "His mother is telling people we're taking a break. Everything I've worked for is falling apart, and it's all your fault." "My fault? You and Mom are the ones who decided to turn my birthday into a public humiliation." "Oh, grow up. It was just a bit of fun. You're so sensitive about everything." My phone buzzed again. "Elena. Mum's on the warpath. She's calling an emergency family meeting. Carson's coming too." "Fun?" I held up my phone, showing Reagan the endless stream of threatening messages from her and Mum. "This is your idea of fun? You have to help me fix this," Reagan said, her voice shifting from anger to pleading. "Tell Carson it was all a misunderstanding. Tell him those texts were taken out of context. Like you told him about how we met at his father's memorial service." She flinched. "That's different. I loved him from the moment I saw him. You researched him for weeks. You and Mom planned every detail, every spontaneous encounter. Because we're perfect for each other." Reagan grabbed my shoulders. "I did what I had to do to get his attention. Haven't you ever wanted something so badly you'd do anything for it?" I shrugged her off. "Not at the expense of someone else's pain. Says the girl who just blew up my entire life." Her eyes narrowed. "Should we talk about what you did that night after my modelling contract? The real reason you were at that party?" My heart stuttered. "Don't. Then help me fix this. Tell Carson and his mother it was all a mistake, that you were jealous and made everything up." "No." Reagan's face hardened. "Fine. Then I'll tell everyone what really happened. How you..." My phone rang. Elena's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer that, Reagan warned. I put the phone on speaker. Eleanor? Maeve, where are you? Carson's here with Mom and things are getting intense. Reagan's not answering her phone and... I'm with her right now, I interrupted. At my apartment. Both of you need to get to our house, now. Elena's voice was urgent. Mom's about to show Carson something else she found. Something about the night of the accident. Reagan lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. What did she find? Insurance papers, medical records, things that don't match the story Reagan told everyone. Reagan's face went white. Elena, don't you dare! 20 minutes, Elena said firmly. Or Mum shows Carson everything. The line went dead. Reagan stood frozen in my living room, all her carefully applied makeup unable to hide her panic. You can't let this happen, she whispered. Watch me. I grabbed my keys and jacket. Are you coming, or should I tell them your version of events without you? You wouldn't. Try me. I opened my front door. 19 minutes left. Reagan followed me out, her designer heels clicking against the hallway floor. As we waited for the elevator, she turned to me. You know, if this comes out, it won't just hurt me, she said quietly. Everyone will know what you did too. Maybe it's time they did. The elevator doors opened. Maybe I'm tired of carrying your secrets. And what about your secrets? Her voice was dangerous now. Are you ready for those to come out too? I stepped into the elevator and pressed the lobby button. 18 minutes, Reagan. Clock's ticking. She joined me in the elevator, and we descended in tense silence, both knowing that whatever happened next would change our family forever. Elena met us at the front door of her family's mansion, her face tight with tension. They're in the study. Mom's already shown Carson the insurance papers. Reagan pushed past her without a word. I started to follow, but Eleanor caught my arm. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked quietly. Once everything comes out. It's time, I said. I'm done protecting her. We entered the study to find Carson standing by the window holding a stack of papers. Mrs. Grant sat in an armchair, her expression severe. Mum was perched on the edge of a leather sofa, wringing her hands. Reagan, darling, Mum jumped up. Thank goodness you're here. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Save it, Carson cut in, his voice ice cold. I want to hear the truth about everything. He turned to face us. Starting with this insurance claim from 2 years ago, Reagan stepped forward. Carson, baby, I can explain. Explain what? He held up the papers. How the accident report says you were driving, but the insurance claim lists Maeve as the driver. How the medical records show injuries that don't match your modelling photos from that same week. It's complicated, Reagan pleaded. Then uncomplicate it, Mrs. Grant said sharply. Now. All eyes turned to me. I took a deep breath. I wasn't driving that night. Reagan was. She'd been drinking at a party, celebrating her new modelling contract. Maeve, don't, Mom warned. She hit someone, I continued. A cyclist. Reagan panicked. She called Mom, who called Dad's lawyer. They decided I should take the blame. Carson's knuckles went white around the papers. Why? Because Reagan had the modelling contract, I said. A DUI would have ruined everything, so they convinced me it was the right thing to do. Family loyalty and all that. You agreed? Elena asked softly. They didn't give me a choice. Mom threatened to cut off my college funding if I didn't play along. Reagan promised she'd make it up to me somehow. Reagan spun toward me. You're leaving out the best part, dear sister. Tell them why you were at that party in the first place. Reagan, please, Mum interjected. No, Mother, let's tell the whole truth. Reagan's smile was vicious. Tell them how you showed up at my celebration party uninvited. How you were the one drinking. How you tried to convince my agent to sign you instead of me. That's not what happened, I said quietly. You were jealous, Reagan continued. You always have been. So when the accident happened, you saw your chance. You agreed to take the blame because you knew it would give you power over me. Is that true? Carson asked. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. No, and I can prove it. I handed him my phone. These are the original texts between Reagan and Mom from that night. Elena helped me recover them. Carson read through them, his jaw tightening. Mrs. Grant stood and read over his shoulder. "Don't worry, sweetie," he read aloud. "We'll make Maeve handle it. She owes us after trying to steal your spotlight. And here's another. The lawyer says if she doesn't agree, we can threaten to expose her little incident from last summer." Mom collapsed onto the sofa. "We were just trying to protect the family." "By blackmailing your own daughter." Mrs. Grant's voice could have frozen hell. "There's more," Elena said. She pulled out her own phone. "I found the original accident report, the cyclist's statement, photos from the scene. Reagan wasn't just drinking, she was on her phone when she hit him." Reagan lunged for Eleanor's phone, but Carson caught her arm. "Don't," he said quietly. "Just don't." "Carson, please," Reagan sobbed. "I love you. Everything I did was to be worthy of you. Including lying about how we met, using my father's memorial service to manipulate me." The room went silent. Reagan's tears dried up instantly. "That's different," she said. "I had to meet you somehow. We're perfect together." "Perfect?" Carson laughed bitterly. "You built our entire relationship on lies. You let your sister take the fall for nearly killing someone. And now I find out you used my father's death as a networking opportunity." "I think we're done here," Mrs. Grant announced, standing. "Carson, come along. We have calls to make." "Wait!" Reagan cried. "What about the wedding?" "What wedding?" Mrs. Grant's voice could have cut diamonds. "Carson, return Miss Steele's ring. We're leaving." As Carson placed the engagement ring on a side table, he turned to me. "I'm sorry about what they did to you." I nodded, unable to speak. "Elena," Mrs. Grant called from the doorway. "Are you coming?" Elena squeezed my hand before following her family out. The heavy front door closed with a final sounding thud. Reagan stared at the abandoned ring, her perfect world crumbling around her. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt like I could breathe. The silence after the Grants left was deafening. Reagan stood frozen, staring at her discarded engagement ring. Mum had her face buried in her hands. Dad, who had been silent throughout the entire confrontation, finally spoke. "How much?" he asked quietly. "What?" Mum looked up. "How much did you pay to cover up the accident, to keep the cyclist quiet?" "Howard, please, 200,000, I said, "plus the cyclist's medical bills. I saw the paperwork when I signed the confession." Dad's face went red. "You used my money to cover up Reagan's crime and frame Maeve." "We didn't frame her," Mom protested. "She agreed to help." "After you threatened her," Dad slammed his hand on the desk. "My own daughter could have gone to jail because you two were worried about a modelling contract." Reagan finally snapped out of her trance. "Daddy, we can fix this. I'll call Carson, explain everything." "You'll do no such thing," Dad cut her off. "You're going to sit down and tell me exactly what happened that night. The truth this time." My phone buzzed. A text from Carson. "Can we meet? Alone? There's something you need to know." "I have to go," I announced, heading for the door. "Don't you dare leave." Mom jumped up. "We need to discuss damage control as a family." "Family?" I laughed. "Now you want to act like a family?" "Maeve," Reagan called out. "If you leave now, I'll tell them everything about Brady." I turned back. "Go ahead. I'm done being scared of your threats." "Fine," Reagan smiled viciously. "Brady didn't reject you that night. You rejected him. After you found out he was sleeping with me the whole time you were pining after him." Mum gasped. Dad's face darkened further. "Is that supposed to hurt me?" I asked quietly. "That's ancient history, Reagan. But you know what isn't? The fact that the cyclist you hit, he's Carson's cousin." The colour drained from Reagan's face. "What?" "That's right. Elena found out yesterday. He was visiting for the memorial service when you hit him. Carson had no idea it was you. The police report had my name on it, remember?" Mom sank back onto the sofa. "Oh, God. I'm meeting Carson now to tell him everything. I continued. Every detail you made me keep quiet about. Every threat. Every manipulation. You can't, Reagan whispered. Watch me. I pulled out my phone and dialed Carson's number on speaker. He answered immediately. Maeve, are you alone? No, I said. I'm with my family. And I'm ready to tell you everything about the night your cousin Marcus was hit by a drunk driver. Reagan lunged for the phone, but Dad caught her arm. Let her speak, he growled. I told Carson everything, how Reagan had been texting while driving drunk, how she'd hit Marcus and kept going, how Mum had orchestrated the cover-up, how they'd threatened my future to keep me quiet. When I finished, Carson was silent for a long moment. Marcus never fully recovered, he finally said. He can't ride anymore, can't work his old job. We never knew who really hit him. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Don't be. You're not the one who should be apologising. His voice hardened. My mother's calling her lawyer right now. The police will want to speak with all of you. Mum started crying. Reagan collapsed into a chair. One more thing, Carson added. Elena found something else. Security camera footage from the country club parking lot that night. Would you like me to send it to the police, Reagan, or would you prefer to turn yourself in? Reagan's head snapped up. There were cameras. There are always cameras, Carson said coldly. You have 1 hour to do the right thing, for once. He hung up. The room was silent except for Mom's quiet sobs. Dad picked up his car keys. Reagan, get up. We're going to the police station. Daddy, please, now! His voice boomed through the room. You did this. You're going to face the consequences. As Dad led a shell-shocked Reagan out, Mom turned to me. Maeve, sweetheart, please, help us fix this. Fix what? I asked. Your reputation, Reagan's future, or the life she destroyed when she hit Marcus? I'm your mother, she pleaded. Everything I did was to protect this family. No, I said, walking to the door. Everything you did was to protect your image, and now you can watch it crumble. My phone buzzed again. Elena, Carson told Marcus everything. He wants to meet you. I looked back at Mom one last time. I'm done keeping your secrets, all of them. I walked out, leaving her alone with the consequences of her choices. It was time for the truth to have its day. The police station was crowded when I arrived. Eleanor stood with Carson near the front desk while Marcus sat in a wheelchair nearby, his wife Sarah holding his hand. Dad was signing papers while Reagan spoke with a detective, tears streaming down her face. You came, Elena said, hugging me. They just finished taking Reagan's statement. Marcus wheeled himself over. Up close I could see the permanent damage from the accident. His left leg was visibly atrophied, and scars peeked out from under his collar. So you're Maeve, he said quietly. The one who took the blame? I nodded, unable to speak. Why? He asked. Why protect someone who nearly killed me? Because they threatened to destroy my life if I didn't, I said. I'm so sorry. I should have come forward sooner. Yes, you should have. His voice was firm but not unkind. But I understand family pressure. The question is, what are you going to do now? Before I could answer, Mom burst through the station doors. Her designer handbag clutched like a shield. This is ridiculous. Reagan made one mistake. She doesn't deserve to have her life ruined over it. One mistake? Sarah stood up, her face flushed with anger. Your daughter left my husband for dead on the road. He'll never walk properly again, never work again, never play with our kids the way he used to, and you covered it up. We paid for his medical bills, Mom protested. Through a lawyer, anonymously, Marcus said, while letting your other daughter take the blame. Tell me, what kind of mother does that? The kind who cares more about appearances than people, Carson answered, stepping forward. The kind who reads her daughter's diary aloud at a party for entertainment. Mom flinched. That was different. No, it wasn't, I interrupted. It was exactly the same. You sacrificing one daughter to benefit the other, like always. The detective approached our group. Mrs. Steele, we'll need your statement as well. Conspiracy to obstruct justice is a serious charge. Obstruct justice? Mom's voice rose hysterically. I was protecting my daughter. By framing your other daughter. The detective raised an eyebrow. Please come with me. As Mom was led away, Reagan emerged from the interview room. Her mascara was streaked down her face, her perfect image finely cracked. They're charging me, she said hollowly. Hit and run, drunk driving, conspiracy. They're taking my passport. Good, Sarah spat. Reagan's eyes landed on Marcus. I didn't know how badly you were hurt. I was scared and stupid and... Save it, Marcus cut her off. Your apology means nothing now. You had 2 years to come forward. 2 years while my family struggled, while your sister carried your guilt, while you played happy couples with my cousin. Carson, Reagan turned to him pleadingly, you know I love you. We can still... We're done, Carson said firmly. I could forgive many things, Reagan, but not this. Not what you did to Marcus. Not what you did to Maeve. The detective returned. Miss Steele, we've set your bail hearing for tomorrow morning. Given the severity of the charges and the prior cover-up, the DA is recommending no bail. Reagan swayed on her feet. No bail? But I have a photo shoot next week. Reagan, Dad's voice was heavy with disappointment. Stop thinking about your career. It's over. Nothing's over, Mom shouted from across the room. We'll hire the best lawyers. We'll fight this. No, Dad said. No more covering up. No more buying our way out. Reagan needs to face what she did. Elena touched my arm. Are you ready to make your statement, to tell them everything? I looked at my sister, broken and scared. At my mother, desperately trying to maintain control. At Marcus in his wheelchair, his life forever changed by their choices. Yes, I said. I'm ready. The detective led me to the interview room. Before I went in, I turned to Reagan one last time. You know what the worst part was? I asked her. Not taking the blame for the accident, not the threats or the manipulation. It was that you and Mom never once thanked me, never acknowledged what I sacrificed for you. Maeve, please, she whispered, don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I replied. I'm just telling the truth. Something you should have done 2 years ago. I walked into the interview room and sat down. The detective pressed record on her device. Please state your name for the record. I took a deep breath. My name is Maeve Steele, and I'm here to tell you what really happened the night of August 15th, 2 years ago. Through the window I could see Reagan being handcuffed, Mom crying into Dad's shoulder, and Marcus holding his wife's hand. The truth was finally coming out, and there was no turning back. The verdict came down hard and fast. Reagan pleaded guilty to all charges, accepting a 3-year sentence. Mum got 18 months for conspiracy and obstruction of justice. The judge was particularly harsh after hearing the full story of how they'd manipulated me into taking the blame. I sat in the courtyard of Eleanor's house, watching the sunset and scrolling through the news coverage on my phone. Reagan's modelling agency had dropped her. Mum's country club friends had mysteriously lost her number. Our family's carefully constructed facade had crumbled completely. Stop reading that stuff, Elena said, bringing out 2 cups of coffee. You'll drive yourself crazy. I can't help it. I showed her the latest headline. Social elites fall from grace. The truth behind the hit and run cover-up. At least they used a flattering photo of you, she said, trying to lighten the mood. Carson joined us, carrying a folder. Marcus wanted you to have these, he said, handing it to me. Inside were the original police reports, insurance documents, and my forced confession, all stamped case closed. He said you should be the one to destroy them, Carson explained. Sort of a symbolic thing. How is he doing? I asked. Better. The settlement money from your parents is paying for experimental therapy. Sarah says he might even be able to walk short distances soon. Dad appeared at the garden gate, looking older than his years. Mind if I join you? Elena nodded, and he sat down heavily in one of the patio chairs. "I just visited your mother," he said. "She wanted me to give you this." He held out an envelope. I took it reluctantly. Inside was a letter in Mum's precise handwriting. "Maeve, I know saying sorry isn't enough. I convinced myself I was protecting Reagan, but really, I was protecting my own pride. I forced you to carry our guilt, and I can never make that right. I read your diary that night to punish you for threatening to tell the truth. I was terrified you'd expose us, so I tried to hurt you first. It was cruel and unforgivable. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I see you now. I see how strong you are, how brave you've been. You're everything I should have been proud of all along. There's one last secret I need to confess." "Don't bother reading the rest," Dad interrupted. "It's just more manipulation. She's trying to keep some kind of hold over you." I folded the letter and struck a match from Eleanor's patio table. The paper caught quickly, curling into ash. "No more secrets," I said quietly. Carson cleared his throat. "Speaking of which, there's something else you should know. The publishing company loved your story submission." I stared at him. "What?" Elena grinned. "I might have sent your writing sample to my friend at Harper Publishing, the one about growing up in a family of secrets. They want to meet with you. But that was just a rough draft." "That's not all," Carson added. "Marcus wants you to help him write his memoir. He says you're the only one who understands both sides of the story." Dad reached over and squeezed my hand. "I'm selling the house," he announced. "Too many bad memories. I've bought a smaller place closer to your apartment. If you'll let me, I'd like to try being a real father for once." My phone buzzed. A text from Reagan. "They're transferring me tomorrow. I know you won't answer, but I need you to know you were always the stronger one. I'm sorry it took losing everything to see that." I deleted the message without responding. Some bridges couldn't be rebuilt. "So what now?" Elena asked softly. I looked around at my unlikely new family. Elena with her unflinching loyalty, Carson with his quiet support, Dad finally stepping up, and even Marcus offering me a chance to turn our shared trauma into something meaningful. "Now," I said, "I write my own story. No one else gets to tell it for me." "To new beginnings," Carson raised his coffee cup. "And no more secrets," Eleanor added. Dad stood up. "I should go, but Maeve, I'm proud of you. Not for keeping their secrets, but for having the courage to expose them." As the sun set over Eleanor's garden, I felt lighter than I had in years. The truth had cost us our picture-perfect family image, but it had given me something better. Freedom. Freedom from secrets, from guilt, from the constant fear of exposure. My phone buzzed again, the publishing company confirming our meeting. I smiled, thinking of all the stories I could finally tell. Not just about the accident or Reagan's betrayal, but about survival, resilience, and the complicated nature of family loyalty. Some people might call it revenge, exposing my family's darkest secrets. I called it justice, and justice, I'd learned, was the best story of all.